Right. Hello, everyone. I'm going to give you all a minute to jump in here. We have almost 180 registrants today, Anthony. It's going to be a
Wow,
really good. I
that's
know. I'm
fantastic.
excited. Lots of people
Yeah, we got a
ready
good
to
group today.
talk about this.
Oh yeah.
All right. All right, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. Okay. We just hit 12 o'clock. I'm going to get things kicked off with hopefully my tech works. With move you over here, a video that I'd like to share with you all. So, Anthony, I'm going to share my screen.
Welcome to this month's New Jersey Business and Industry Association's Business Growth Roundtable. We created this show because we really want to equip you with what you need to succeed.
This event is ideal for business leaders who need to stay up to date on strategy, technology, and trends to grow their business.
So let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NJBIA Business Growth Roundtable. I am Donna Miller, one of your co-hosts, and I am Chief Visionary Officer at C3 Works and founder of Donna Miller Business Growth Consulting, where for over 30 years, we've been helping companies to accelerate their growth by providing support and advisory services around operations, biz dev, and finance. What we really do is we allow growing teams and business owners to work smarter by focusing on that which actually moves the needle. And our clients know that by bringing us in to build AI-infused systems that are efficient, connected, and executable by them or us, they're laying the foundation for a company that will run and grow without them involved in every little detail. So if you are interested in working smarter and growing faster, who isn't? Let's talk. And let me hand it over to my co-host, Rachel Durkin.
Thank you, Donna, and hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Durkin. I'm with Paradigm Marketing and Design. We are a web marketing, branding, and sales enablement agency that specializes in working with clients with a complex sale. That means B2B, professional services, and nonprofit organizations. If you have a sales team and you want them to have more qualified leads and shorter sales cycles, we can help build a marketing to sales infrastructure that is going to decrease your cost of sale and make your sales team more effective, all while driving revenue up and costs down. So if you're looking for support in your in outsourced marketing or any of those areas, please contact me at Paradigm and I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. And this event would not be what it is without our sponsors. So first, thank you to Nissa Vaccia, who takes pride in delivering exceptional accounting services in New Jersey, built on a foundation of strong work ethic and a commitment to treating their clients like family. These are the traits they pass down from everyone on their team throughout their culture, and it's evident in everything they do. For more than 55 years, Nissa Vaccia has made great partnerships with all of their clients, and that is why they have chosen the best place to work and the top 25 accounting firms in New Jersey. And Donna, let me throw it over to you for our next sponsor.
And speaking of partnerships, we love partnering with Summit Place Financial Advisors. They offer focused, individualized attention, serving a select group of highly successful people like you who have outgrown mass market institutions. Success often comes with complex investment, tax, and estate planning challenges. Summit Place offers experienced, personalized, and disciplined guidance to help you achieve your financial goals and simplify wealth opportunistically. They collaborate with trusted professionals to bring a holistic, expert approach to your financial journey. Of course, Summit Place is an SEC-registered firm. They do not sell products, earn commissions, or have quotas to meet. They work solely in your best interest with no hidden fees or agenda. Rachel, who else do we need to thank?
And last but not least, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, which is the state's leading health insurance provider, committed to improving the health and well-being of New Jersey residents through innovative, high-quality, and affordable coverage. Guided by a mission to advance health equity, this organization strengthens communities statewide by investing in programs and partnerships that support access, wellness, and long-term health outcomes. Donna, back to you.
Excellent. And as Rachel said at the top, we could not do this without our partners, so we're truly grateful for this collaboration. And of course, we are collaborating with NJBIA. So let me hand it back to NJBIA to give us some updates and tell us what's going on there. Thanks so much.
All right. So Anthony, why don't you share with us some updates for BIA and then we'll get this event kicked off.
Sure. Perfect. Thank you, Rachel. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to New Jersey's Industry and Associations Business Growth Roundtable. It's a great day out there today, and we are so excited to be working with such a talented group of women, which is an amazing event today for us to share. For those of you who are new to NJBIA, we are the nation's largest statewide business association. We represent over one quarter of all employees here in the state of New Jersey. And NJBIA is dedicated to supporting companies across the state, always guided by our core principle, business at the center. We also offer many other customer development opportunities, such as our events throughout the year, both virtually and in person. We also have our magazine and digital opportunities. We have our Plant New Jersey podcast and our television show with Bob Considine, Minding Your Business. And we also have some money-saving opportunities and programs for your organization, such as payroll with Prime Point, 401k with BCG Securities, healthcare with AMT, and of course, our auto insurance program with Plymouth Rock. I will put my information in the chat. If you have any other things you need from me, please feel free to reach out. I also want to share two things that are upcoming this month. In April, we have our leadership series continuing this month. This will take place on 4/21. It's a virtual event, and this will cover high-impact coaching and team leaders for managers with the none other Laura Crothers and Stephanie Lucata. So we're looking forward to that. And one last thing, Rachel, we have our Workforce Summit event taking place on April 29th at the Pines Manor. And this will cover brainstorming recommendations to inform the state's future workforce strategy and workforce development priorities. So again, I'll leave my information in the chat. Feel free to reach out, but now I'll turn it over to Rachel to kick this program off. Thank you.
Thank you. And one last thing before we get started, don't miss our May event. I've already put the registration in the chat. It's going to be From Vision to Results, How to Plan and Execute for Sustainable Growth. Business leaders really lack ideas. The real challenge comes from turning those ideas into consistent, measurable execution and then tracking results. In fact, did you know that 90% of organizations fail to execute their strategy effectively, and 67% of well-formulated strategies fail to actually come to fruition because of poor execution. This webinar and virtual event is going to talk about how to ensure that your good ideas come to fruition with appropriate action. So don't miss our event in May, and be sure to register now. So with that, I'm going to thank you, Anthony, and then bring our panelists to the show to take their cameras off and come on up.
Yep.
And we are going to kick off today our event. So we're just going on you, Cal. There you are. Okay. So welcome everybody to turning AI in action and moving from interest to impact with your AI strategy into business. I encourage you to use the chat to introduce yourselves, communicate with different attendees. If you have a question, please put that in the Q&A. I'm going to do my best to monitor the chat, but I'm probably going to miss some things. So if you want your question answered by the panelists, make sure you put it into the Q&A, which can be found at the bottom of your screen. So I'm so glad that you're all here today with us. We have a huge crowd, and clearly this is a very hot topic. We all know AI is everywhere right now. But we're seeing it with clients, and I'm sure you're experiencing it as well, that the challenge right now is not access to AI. There's a ton of tools out there. It's how do I actually implement it? How do I get my teams aligned around it? And how do I drive real business outcomes with these tools and not just kind of use experimentation? So today is about moving beyond the noise into what actually works with actionable insights. And I am joined by three amazing panelists. So I'm going to let you introduce yourselves because I will not do you justice. So Laura, let's start with you.
Hi, everybody. Laura Crothers. I am the CEO and founder of Crothers Consulting, where we help managers manage and leaders lead with strategic HR strategies, coaching, and training. Thanks for inviting me out today, Rachel.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. You always got something great to say. Cal, how about you? Will you introduce yourself?
I think you do a better job introducing me than I do. I'll give it a shot, Rachel. So I think many, I've seen the names here. Sandler, we spend a lot of time working with people who are really good and making them better. So at our core, we're a sales and leadership training organization, and we help people figure out how to shorten their sales cycles. Some of them are worried about getting out in front of enough of the right people. And the topic is very poignant. How do you integrate those tools that enable the good salespeople? Because they're going to take their jobs away, but how do we use those tools to make us better, make us more efficient and more effective. And there's a lot of people screwing it up, and there's a lot of people doing well.
That's right. And Anj, will you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning, or afternoon, actually, now, everyone. My name's Andrea Diaz. I'm a partner at SKC & Co. CPAs. We're the entrepreneurs accounting firm, and we help business owners execute their vision for their company through strategic financial planning.
And
And
Andrea
it's
gets
a really great day to be here, April 14th. Yeah.
You get the prize for showing up on the day before tax day to talk to us. So thank you so much. We're very lucky to have you. So I want to start the conversation off with where companies actually are. So what are you all seeing inside your organizations right now and into your clients' organizations? Because there's a big gap between talking about AI and actually using it. So what are companies getting right and what are they getting wrong when it comes to AI adoption? Laura, let's start with you.
Sure. What we're really seeing is organizations aren't struggling as much with access to the tools. There's so many tools. Everybody's got to figure out which ones, but they do seem to be struggling with clarity, trust, consistency, readiness of the workforce, team-wide adoption of these things, and then to really get people to consistently use it seem to be major challenges for the clients that we're dealing with. Some of this is also impacted by the generational differences throughout the workforce, where different generations seem to be, in general, adopting new technology at different paces and with different comfort levels. And so the real issue for the Crothers team and our clients seem to be more about people readiness, not technology availability. That's
And
kind
are
of
you saying like an adoption issue or a knowledge issue? Is it skill or will? That's the problem.
It's probably a little bit of both, depending upon who's in the organization.
Mhm.
So I do think it's both skill and will, and just that organization's ability to roll it out in a way that embraces both of those things, quite frankly,
Mhm.
Rachel.
Yeah. And Cal, I know you've been telling me about some amazing things, and we've been working together, in marketing and sales. Cal and I always work very closely together, but there's some really impressive tools out there now for sales. What are you seeing in organizations and how they're using them?
Uh, it's a 50-50, Rachel. I don't want to say that. I want to say, oh, they're crushing it. They're doing a great job. So I did a
Mhm.
talk at a conference recently, and everyone says, oh, is AI going to replace salespeople? And there are a few that will, like the commodity stuff. And Rachel, I think this some of the shops and the shopping things that you guys
Mhm.
integrate into websites. But the reality is, and I'm seeing this firsthand, like every week, the the good salespeople and leaders who are not using AI to make them more efficient are
Mhm.
replacing them. It's not a great job market right now, but we're seeing people be really efficient in using it. And I'll talk later about the different tools, maybe even show one. But for me and for a lot of my clients, we've got note takers. Everybody's got a note taker. Well,
Mhm.
Laura's point, which one are we going to pick? Just freaking pick one. Now we
Mhm.
happen to use Fathom. I don't get any permission from that, but Sandler is embedded in a number of tools. It's embedded in Fathom. It's embedded in HubSpot and CRM. They all talk to each other. By the way, don't
Mhm.
tell anybody, like the 120 people here, but I am the worst note taker and follow upper person ever. AI has done that for me for almost 2 years. All our tools talk to each other, and I don't know if we get a chance later. I can show an example where it's embedded, and I don't have to think about it, and I can
Mhm.
put that right into proposals or draft agreements, and it does it for me. Now, I'll tell the story later, but I had somebody do it, and she lost the deal and said, well, I'll pretend it was Rachel, but it wasn't. Said, Rachel, I think what you put in this proposal is exactly what we said we don't want. She just cut and pasted it right out of her tool, which
That's dangerous. Yeah, we're seeing
she
that.
no longer is employed there. But it was just a dumb. So I think it's also making some people lazy. Those who don't want to
Mm.
be productive with it, it's making them a little lazy and they're making mistakes.
Yeah, I totally agree. Andre, you saying?
So on the financial aspect, I think people are concerned about security. They're concerned. Some of them are saying, "Hey, let's push the envelope." Some are not. I think there are also a lot of people out there who are kind of using large language model AI to as a Google search and then saying, hey, I saw this and I came up with this. This is right. And, you can ask questions of AI and it's going to give you an answer that may not be legally right or have context to it, right? There could be something in the IRS code that lets you do something, but there are three exceptions or additional rules or qualifications. And, at first, AI is just going to give you that initial response. Um, so I'm seeing a lot of our clients, they also don't have time to implement, right? And then now they're starting to get bombarded with so many different types. Do we use Claude? Do we use ChatGPT? What is business oriented where we can use one platform for the whole team, but it doesn't go elsewhere? And then who has the ability to write the policy and what's supposed to happen with it and who's taking charge of that? Is it the HR manager that's supposed to write the AI policy and how everybody's supposed to use it? Is it, what it's, I think it's confusing on who's supposed to take ownership of that, or is it IT, right? And so from
Both.
a financial or both, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
From a financial perspective, a lot of the technology has implemented AI. So a lot of the, NetSuites and the Sage and QuickBooks Online and all of our accounting softwares and programs have implemented AI within those tools that also have open APIs to integrate with other tools. And of course, everybody's biggest concern is, well, where is my information going and how is it going into this, into the universe every time it's put into AI? But we know that there are great ways to use AI. So, how do we use it to our benefit of keeping security as the top of mind?
So if I have to summarize what I heard you all say is it sounds like individuals are experimenting with AI in different ways, but I haven't seen any of my clients with a really solid AI policy in place on here's how the organization's using it, here's what the tools are, here's what the rules are. Have any of you seen that in your organizations in a really strong way? A little bit.
Minimally.
Yeah.
When we went to a conference and we asked how do as an accounting firm even how do we put together an AI policy? They said have AI write it. And I was like, I don't know if that's genius or awful.
The start
Maybe
point.
use it as a starting point.
Right.
So I'm gonna throw this out to a poll out to the whole group. So on how effective is your organization at rolling out new technology? So I'll give you all a minute. Do you see it on your end, everyone? All right. So I'll give everybody a minute to answer it, and then we'll show the results. See if we're alone in the room. All right, I'm seeing. All right, I'm not gonna tell you guys yet, but all right. So I'm gonna end it in 5 seconds. 4. All right. So it's looking like it's pretty split. I'm actually interested that there's a good 24% that are doing a great job at that. So please,
Right.
if you know who you are, put it in the chat. We want to know what companies are crushing it because we might all be reaching out to you for ideas. So if you feel like you want to share some experience, share some ideas, put it in the chat. I'm sure that's a great way to network to share these ideas together.
Rachel,
All
I'll
right.
give you a quick anecdote. I was at a
Sure.
client yesterday, and they do AI. That's part of their business, and they have created quote job descriptions or agent descriptions because they're advanced enough that they have a number of agents in their ecosystem, but they were very clear on their policy, what information they get to know. But they created job descriptions for their agents and they put guardrails around it, which was shocking to me. And
Yeah.
maybe it's a little too complex, but I thought that was, but they're in the top 2%.
Well, there's also a very fine line between putting too much policy in place that inhibits innovation and then letting things fly a little too far. So to me, it's a process problem, but it's also behaviors, people problem, which I'm sure Laura's going to talk about. So let me move on for the sake of time to talk a little bit about some practicality. Laura, let's start with you. Where is AI actually working inside your organization and your clients' organizations? I heard in our last meeting, you guys talked a little bit about some tools like Cloverleaf. So tell us a little bit about those things.
Great. So AI inside our organization, we created an internal GPT tool built from past training, materials to help streamline content creation because, as you know, we customize everything for the clients we're working with. So that's been huge. And we have an enterprise access so everybody can get in and do what they need with the training programs. And then we've aligned with a tool called Cloverleaf, which has our clients take a whole bunch of assessments, the ones you've all heard of, DISC and Myers-Briggs and Enneagram and Strength Finders and lots of good, where there's 8 different assessments.
Mhm.
And then it uses that data to give them not only regular micro learnings with coaching tips about themselves, about people on their team, but it also has an AI component where you can go in and say, gosh, Rachel and Andrea are working on this project together and they're really struggling. What might be some reasons for that and gain some insights. And then you could go in and say, now, how do I have a conversation with them about how to fix this problem that they're having together? And it acts as their coach for those times where they don't have a coach available, or to just gain some new ideas. So when they talk to their coach, they've got some ideas, they've tried some things, they've taken a look at the data. So that's been really powerful for both us internally and our clients. And we've also been working with an AI coach that we hired that we meet with weekly, who's been helping us replace kind of time intensive manual processes that we all have in our organization, to rebuild it and do things better and quicker and where we can use AI. So those are some things that we're doing and we've been helping our clients with.
That's great. Andrea, how about you? What are you seeing?
So for us, we've seen a multitude of different things. Many of our clients are using, automatically the note takers from our conversations, right? We always caution against it. Sometimes people say things in these on these meetings that you wonder where this information could potentially go, if not just to your notes as a summary and email. So we always get concerned about that. Some of the good things that our folks are using is a lot of the technology, a lot of the AI technology in their accounting software. That's kind of the biggest
Mhm.
component that we're really seeing a big push. So, most softwares now, you don't have to input, vendor invoices. You can simply send them to the software's email address and they will read the invoice for you, put the bill into your system and integrate, kind of all over. That's the big one of the biggest areas that we're seeing and one of the easiest to implement.
Mhm.
And these softwares, the benefit is really they are secure, right? So they're made by the Thomson Reuters and the Walter Q. These are real systems, and they have all of the Sarbanes or
Yeah.
not that compliance,
Yeah.
the compliance aspects of it, and so that's the easiest way for people to kind of immediately right away start utilizing AI in the financial aspect of their business. One thing, of course, people are, you always have then the internal accounting team thinking, well, if they're doing this, is my job going away? It's not going away. You still need somebody there to make sure that the information's right. These things aren't perfect. There's
Mhm.
the human interaction and integration is not going away. Yes, AI can certainly help make everybody more efficient in that aspect, but it's not replacing people.
And I think to that point, what I'm seeing is as I'm hiring, I really want to see people who know how to prompt AI, how to embrace AI, how to put the right guardrails up. That's a skill that I think in schools now really needs to be taught. It's like a whole, world that we're in. And I'm seeing people who are avoiding it, and rare cases, or overusing it. And so I feel, and Laura, you tell me if you think I'm wrong, like training that in the organization right now is so important as we adopt it. Do you agree?
100%, Rachel. And there's
Yeah.
a lot of different theories out there on
Mhm.
how to do it, but for an organization to come up with what works for them,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right on.
And Cal, in the world of sales, what practical tools are you seeing?
So one is my favorite. I'll even give the name. It's called Yoodli, Yoodli. And again, it's got Sandler built into it. And I've got half a dozen or more clients, and it's an interactive role play bot person. And we can program them to be a homeowner. We can tell them to be director of HR. We can program them to be whatever your ideal client profile is. And you will practice maybe an upfront contract, which you know, Rachel, or bonding and rapport, or any of these specific things, or go through an entire sales call. I made the mistake of doing with a client, and I got a 62% score.
Yeah.
So I got up my game. But that's one. Now, the caveat to all of these, the caveat is their sales manager has to get really good at coaching and debriefing the calls. Because what it can't do well is if we're having a conversation and we're going down the Sandler pain funnel, it'll recognize the stuff, but it won't pause and say, so Rachel, how do you ask the really hard question that's going to intentionally make them uncomfortable? AI cannot do that. The coach can, the mentor, the coach, the sales director, or the owner of the company needs to be, and Laura, you're going to nod your head on this one. We got to have the human supplement in there to be able that the things are operating correctly.
Yeah. It's almost like the AI will help you ask the right question.
It will, but it won't do it with conviction. It won't do it with curiosity, and it won't go, Rachel, I'm a little confused that you said your leads suck. I'm not sure what that means. So it's not going to do the nuance and the human interaction with curiosity and being very intentional about it. And that's just practice. It does help, but it can't replace that. As a coach, as a coach, you can't replace it as a coach. You can help. The other tools are the recorders, because it's the last one I'll tell. I have a client, they cut and paste the actual conversation that they had in the beginning of, we don't use proposals, as you know, we call them draft agreements, and they'll put it in there and say, review of the situation. And I sat in on one of their sales calls and they said, George, you know us so well. That is so accurate. And we're like, yeah, because we recorded your words.
We were able to, which is really a lot of marketing.
Absolutely.
So, in which they resonate with your audience.
Right. And the biggest thing for us is everything connects, because we all know people in a sales role, sales leaders, whether they're salespeople or customer service people, they hate putting their stuff in the CRM.
Yeah. Well,
if we do it right, we don't have to anymore.
If I have to comment from a marketing standpoint, we're seeing a couple of logical tools, but it's how you use them. So for example, Copilot, if you're on a Microsoft platform, if you're having Copilot take notes for you in a sales meeting, and then you have a structured proposal within your SharePoint platform, and you say, I want to structure it this way, to Cal's point, you can return it into exactly what they said. Or you can, if we're doing discovery interviews, like we would do voice of the customer interviews for our clients to understand market perceptions, and it can pick out key perceptions, keywords from a large audience. So it's great for, just subjective data, turning it into objective data in a way that we couldn't always do before. So that's really helpful. But then last, the CRMs. I mean, some of these CRMs, HubSpot's leading the race right now, but Salesforce is close behind, and all the others are following. The AI in these CRMs is wildly impressive. And if you're setting up your marketing to sales infrastructure properly and automating it, it can start pulling data and figuring out exactly what's working. And then it's a rinse and repeat. So if you don't have your CRM in place, even just basic data entry, you're missing a huge kind of slam dunk opportunity when it comes to the world of AI. And that's like the easy button in my mind from a marketing standpoint. Cal, are you seeing the same thing?
Oh, for sure. And so I have an associate. So from a leadership, coaching, management standpoint, I get an automated thing every Monday morning at 6 a.m. and it goes through, did you get this? What was it? It actually does the sales call debriefing. So he can no longer miss some of those things, like clear future. When the call ended, what's the time and the date on the calendar for the next conversation? He can't miss it anymore. He can even not miss it, right?
It's right there. All right. So our next poll I want to hear from everyone is where are you currently using AI the most? Is there a department or area of the business that you are using AI? So again, we're going to keep things moving. So I'm going to ask you all to answer it quickly so we can move on to our next section of our conversation. Oh, Laura, it looks like AI HR is losing. You got an opportunity here.
Yeah, the AI in HR, it depends upon if people have actually gone and bought HR platforms, right? I think most
But
of the
it's,
HR platforms have it, like ADP and,
yeah.
all those, but a lot of folks haven't made that investment yet. So
Mhm.
that makes sense.
So I'm seeing sales and marketing, and that's great, and some operations, but yeah, finance, leadership, HR strategy is way down there. So, and there's a lot of opportunity. A lot of it's tied in, right? Isn't
Mhm.
Power BI on just is tied into Microsoft, isn't it?
It is. It's a Microsoft program, but even you can even have your CRMs tied
Hmm.
into your financials, and we've seen a lot of clients build out their CRM so that Salesforce we know integrates with QuickBooks Online, so your sales team can see where you are in the project and how much you've invoiced and their own quotas and have information so that they're seeing certain information from your finance side that your salespeople do, but not everything, right? They're not seeing everything else. They're seeing they know how much your clients are getting invoiced. They sold it. So
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So there are certain components that it allows to integrate, but then of course keeping finance separate. But it helps also the finance team when
Mhm.
they're looking at AR or collections and stuff that the salespeople can see, oh, they haven't paid their invoice yet. So they know,
Mhm.
their commission is impacted and things like that. So it's there are definitely ways that you can integrate finance with your sales and marketing stuff that people are probably already doing. They don't even just realize that it has that extra layer of capability within it. There
Mhm.
are I mean, there are a lot of tools that are available. I think people are not seeing it as the easy button one on the finance side, right? They get nervous about the security or nervous about people seeing too much information or the information being out there. Um, but there are definitely ways to do it and you know, make lives much easier.
Yeah, I think about we just not just, but months ago, when we went with Claude for an enterprise, we linked it to Zoho, our CRM, QuickBooks Online, Microsoft, our platform, so that everything is kind of
Mhm.
integrated with Claude, and it's been a game changer.
So let's move. I know we have so much we can talk about, but I'm going to keep moving on here. And as a reminder, everyone, put your questions in the Q&A, not the chat. I'm not going to be able to keep track of them because I'm seeing some sort of questions come in. But let's move on to aligning across departments. So we talked about some practical tools in each department, but one of the biggest opportunities and challenges that I think is happening is alignment within the whole organization.
Mhm.
So, what happens when AI is implemented in silos versus globally? Because I know we're all taking our own ideas and we're running with them. So Cal, let's start with you. What are you seeing?
So that's a great question. I love what Andrea said about, I call them dashboards, and we have a common friend, Mike Z, we'll call him,
Yeah.
just to keep his name quiet. But they build dashboards, so you don't have to all be on the same platform necessarily, and the agents can certainly do that. Um, so Rachel and I talk about this all the time when sales and marketing are not connected. I had a conversation this morning with a client about an hour ago, and she said, we're losing a lot of, it's kind of a transactional business. We're losing a lot of clients within the first 90 days. Well, why is that? Well, they've put now an automated, we call it a bot, but a person, an AI person, that they can't just cancel. They have to ask a couple questions and answer some questions. And then it prompts them
Mm-hmm.
to have a phone call. So so what we realized was happening, they're marketing to the wrong ICP, ideal client profile. So they're getting so much churn there. So what we've been able to do is get them very focused on who is the ideal client profile. So their marketing efforts have now changed based on the results of their sales. The three salespeople there are, and if I say they're really good, they probably are, but they're phenomenal. But they've been focusing on the wrong end of the marketplace. So that was one data collection. There are a lot of ways to do it, but they can do it in minutes, not like hours and days. Uh, yeah, I'll stop with that. But I think that's just one example, right? It's data collection, and you
Yeah.
can get it quickly. I mean, how many
Hmm.
people out here in the audience? Well, I know something's wrong. I know there's data out there, but I don't know how to get it.
Yeah. So Laura, talk to us. What are you saying about like, is it silos? Or are you saying how do we make it sure it's across the whole company and not within silos?
Yeah, honestly, it needs to start with the leaders. And
Hmm.
I think we've heard that from all these AI experts too, is they're like, hey, you can't delegate this to your IT team or to, your admin or your Gen Z person who likes AI. Like you as a leader have to own it. And so I think what we're seeing is leaders really coming to grips with that they need
Hmm.
to be the owner of this. And then within the organization, you could have some different owners of the change management, but leadership still needs to be involved. And and so if leadership's involved, you're going to have it across the silos, right?
Hmm.
Versus assigning someone within the silo to be in charge of change management across the organization. And thinking about change management in general is part of it. People are like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Hmm.
This
It
is
is,
a
yeah.
big
Oh
change.
yeah.
And so, misalignment there, where if you have one part of your organization doing one thing and somebody else doing something else, and there's not that overarching strategy and change management approach, you're going to get what you would expect, right? People are going to be
Hmm.
confused. They're going to resist because they're not going to understand what the big picture is, how it aligns, why are we doing this? And there's going to be inconsistent adoption,
Hmm.
which leads to all kinds of things. I think about in all of our worlds, in HR especially, yikes, inconsistent adoption. That's like a big no-no.
Hmm.
And then to make sure that change is done, the implementation needs to be heavy communication. And we say this for almost everything, right? You can't
Hmm.
over communicate. And I think some of the problem is sometimes the team working on this, the leader working on this, may have been working on this for the last year or year and a half. I think about it
Hmm.
with big CRM or ERP rollouts. And they're just done talking about it. They're like, let's go, let's roll this
Yeah.
out. Why isn't everybody excited? And they're not realizing that over communication and training across the whole organization in a thoughtful way is a huge part of the success of the ultimate rollout. So we tend to get calls where someone, unfortunately, not as many calls up front about let's think this
Hmm.
through and be strategic, but like, we've just invested $1 million in this CRM or ERP rollout and it's a disaster. Can you
Hmm.
help us do the change management? We're realizing certain
Everyone forgets
silos
about
are
that time.
resistant. So you have certain silos that embrace it and others that don't, or the way they've set it up, they're not understanding the flow down to another organization. That hasn't been communicated.
Mhm.
So, if I can come out of today's session with anything, I want people to think about these things are huge change management initiatives,
Mhm.
and you've got to over communicate.
That's so true. And one of the successes I've been seeing when I'm sitting in on meetings with leadership from some of my clients is there needs to be a representative from a senior representative from every department on and an agreement on the AI policy, how it's going to be used, how it's going to be communicated. And then I'm finding that there needs to be, once that's agreed to, there needs to be one point of contact that ensures that it's executed to the way in which it was agreed. So, like that one owner of the whole
Owner,
process.
right?
And then, of course, the leadership has to come back together, evaluate what's working, and adjust. But I'm seeing that you need leaders from every department involved for the decision, and then one person to monitor the change management of the whole process. Andre, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. It has to come from the leader side because if the leaders don't if they're not on board and they're not saying, forget even the policy, let's start with which one is the company going to use, right?
Mhm.
There's so many different, so you don't want one person saying, oh, I'm just going to put this on my computer. That's what that then we end up having seven different subscriptions and software
Mhm.
costs go through the roof because everybody's doing their
Mhm.
own thing and there's no consistency and so it doesn't they also each of the different things, whether it's Copilot or Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude, whatever you're using, they're all different, and they all have so you do need 100% to start from the leader. You also, if you have one department trying to utilize AI through one program or even the same program across the board, but um, it's never going to be as efficient and work as well as it could if it didn't come from a top overall down and have it extremely, it's going to take time to get each department on board, but essentially you have to start with, what does it look like as a whole? What does that workflow look like? Where does the information start? Where does it end? And what system has to talk to what first? If you just start saying, oh, I'm going to integrate these two. I've had clients do that, like, oh, these integrate, I'm going to integrate them. And then information just flows over into this other system because they didn't do it right. They chose to integrate all historical data, which brings it from like 2024, and it can become a mess. It has to be organized. It has to be thought through. I understand. I'm a person let's do it. I want to do it. Let's get it done. But this is one of those things where you have to take a step back and say, okay, let's actually put the diagram together and let's actually see what this is supposed to do in the most efficient way. Let's look at our tech stack and do these things integrate. Do we need to change any of them first? And, I think looking at it from the whole picture and your whole organization, you're automatically going to implement AI across all of these components. It will automatically include sales, operations, finance, and HR if you do it right.
Yeah.
That's
all right. So I'm going to.
You guys, a quick anecdote. So all of these are so spot on, and we're all saying one of the same things. Recent new client, big technology company, super frighteningly smart people. They have a number of platforms, right? They tie HR and finance and sales and marketing and operations, the executors. And we had a meeting about a week ago. The marketing message got a sales meeting. The sales message was completely different from the marketing meeting. They finally got through that. It took them 2 weeks. And then the agreement that they wrote made no sense and was not executable by the people running the actual operations. And the reason that happened is because they wrote an internal AI program. We'll just ask AI to put it all together.
And AI tells you what you want to hear. So it told marketing what it wanted to hear, and it told sales what it wanted to hear.
Right. Yeah. And to Laura's point, it was no leader at the top putting that all together. So there you go. There's write that lesson down, everybody on the call.
Yeah. All right. I'm sharing another poll with everyone. Do you each have someone accountable in your organization for AI implementation and or change management processes?
You think people are going to tell the truth on this one, Rachel?
I don't know. I mean, it's anonymous, isn't it? So, okay, I'm going to end the poll. So we got to go to 50-50. So some people do and some people don't, which is great. So, I mean, it's great for the doers. But it's also, don't feel bad if you're not alone, if you don't have one person in place for that. All right, so I'm going to keep us moving because we're starting to get a little bit tight on time, and I want to move into our next section, where we are sorry, I lost my notes here. Where we're going to talk a little bit about risks, pitfalls, and what to avoid, which we've already started getting into. So let's talk about what not to do. Where do things go sideways quickly? So Andrea, let's start with you.
Yeah. So let's not take advice directly from AI without confirming it for anything that matters, finance, legal. I'm going to tell a legal story. I'm not an attorney, but I heard this story from one of our known friends, and it's crazy. An attorney got a client because that client that had ChatGPT write an agreement or whatever, component, went into an agreement with the third party, and then this client came to him and said, hey, or a prospect at the time, and then became a client, came back to him and said, hey, I need to get out of this agreement. And that agreement never had an exit clause.
Wow.
Because they didn't know ChatGPT didn't know it needed it. It just, it's not like you can't take, we all use it as a starting point. Fine. If you want to put into ChatGPT, I'm thinking about entering into an agreement, or I'm thinking about buying this company. Here are the financials. What is it going to tell me? And you put the financials. start there. I get it. We all do, right? But you
Do not end
must
there.
dig in. You do not end there, right? That's like your starting initial kind of research, right? There's a lot of due diligence and a lot of things to do after the fact. And it may not know, right? I've put financials with clients and we've sanitized it, their financials into AI because we want to see the metrics and things like that. And it gave a whole uh, summary of the financials that was incorrect because it didn't understand the change in um, going from selling services to selling products.
Hmm.
So it was just a, you can sometimes you can give it a full all of the information that you think that it needs, but it doesn't have the background information that you know from working with in your business for so long or what have you. It can be very incomplete or inaccurate based on face value data.
Hmm.
So yes, start there because I get it. We are naturally going to do that, but you do not. And I will also say it gives a lot of wrong information.
Hmm.
It will interpret the Internal Revenue Code, and I've pushed it a lot. It
Yeah.
will interpret rules inaccurately. And it, and
I
it
that
doesn't have, it doesn't show the additional information that you may need. So it's not perfect.
we read a horror story, not us, of a company that was using its marketing, its metrics and data that and using AI to interpret it. And it was making over months, they were making industry decisions, business decisions, restructuring their business model, and it was all hallucinations. And
Yeah.
that's like a major one of the things we've implemented to your point, Anj, is we will have one team who like is an account team, will run metrics and use AI to do some analytics and then put it together, reread it. But then we have different strategists on our team. We will send the metrics from one team to another strategist who is not as familiar with the account to look at it and be like, does this all make sense? To kind
Right.
of try to poke holes in it. Because sometimes when you're too close to something anyway, you can
Hmm.
make a mistake. So
Right.
that's
Seeing the
been
trees through
allowing
the forest, like being able to
exactly.
like see it.
And
Yeah.
and it's allowing things to be caught a little bit better. But yeah, that can really happen. So Laura, what are you
Oh,
seeing?
Yeah, and I'm going to tag on to that. And I assume most people are probably doing this, but one of the things that's super helpful is whenever you put some kind of prompt into AI, before you have it actually give you what its thoughts are, say, before you do this, please ask me three questions, one at a time. And I found that that clarification helps sometimes the hallucinations and some of that
Mhm.
because they ask you
right.
things that you didn't think to tell them, but you're like, oh yeah, that was really
That's
good
a great
information.
idea.
Yeah.
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 So I always say after, at anything I do, I want you to act as a McKinsey,
Hmm.
rep, and I'd like you to ask me three questions,
Yeah.
one at a time, and then I'll tell you, more. So that's helpful. And at the end, you could say, do you have any more questions? If you do, ask them
Hmm.
one at a time. But one
Hmm.
at a time is helpful. Okay, so for us, I mean, I can harp on the whole communication, change management. That's certainly where we see do not, forget that you need to over communicate and have change management. I think the other part is the people part. Do not
Hmm.
forget that a lot of folks are reluctant because they're afraid of the job loss or they're afraid of their reduced value or they're afraid that they're not going to be able to keep up with the pace of technology. Some generations are like, I'm not comfortable with this. And so that change management and that communication again around those things is really important. And sure, yes, part of your job is going to go away. So we want to be honest with someone,
Hmm.
but you're going to get to do some other things, which are really cool or
Hmm.
more things, more of this, which is a better use of your time and more helpful to the organization to whatever, develop relationships, find the right people, onboard people appropriately.
Hmm.
And so that human connection is also a part of what people are fearing a loss of. And on the other side, some people are looking forward to, right?
Yeah.
we find some generations now, right, don't want to come in the office. They want to do everything AI and virtual, and they'd rather not have meetings. They have chatbots out there where people get on the phone. It looks like someone, and they're there on the Zoom meeting nodding their head, and they say yes a few times, and it's not a real person.
Yeah.
Right? I just saw that the other day with a client where they had to terminate someone who created some bot that was, they were out golfing and their bot was, pretending they were on Zoom meetings. So,
I'm actually playing
I
golf
mean,
right now.
Yeah. So we're running up on time. So Cal, I'm going to give you 1 minute to answer this one, and then we're all going to have 5 minutes to do the last section. So,
All right, as I told you, I did talk recently, and I came up with 3 new Sandler rules. So, little funny thing: how many people out in this audience are Sandler people? Raise your hand. About half the people just raised their hand, which is actually kind of funny, even though they can't see it. So, here's one of the rules: prospects don't ghost us because our follow-up cadence is off.
Mhm.
They ghost us because we never had a real conversation with them in the first place. Leadership group, I polled 12 of them, 100 of them, 100% of them said yes. And my question was, how many people have gotten a marketing email? Sorry, Rachel, not from Paradigm, got a marketing email that was identical to the one they got the day before. It just had a different name and a different company logo on it.
Mhm.
Everybody got them. Everybody got them, and you'll know the reasons for that. Another rule: if your CRM knows more about the prospect than you do, that's not data-driven selling,
Mhm.
right? It's a tool. Don't be a tool, be the professional. And the last one, putting someone's first name in an email isn't personalization, it's spam wearing a bow tie.
At least it looks nice.
It looks nice, right? But curiosity, intention, asking good questions is not downloadable. We can't do that. We can do the research and prepare ourselves way better to ask the better questions, but we have to ask the questions. So my favorite text or email is, when's the best time for us to schedule a time so we can look each other in the eyeballs on a screen, or better yet, in person and not. So we find a lot of people are taking shortcuts, and they had 35% increase in initial activity and a 9% decrease in revenue. How does that make sense? So did I exceed my minute?
Well, a little bit, but it's my fault for getting us off track. So one last topic, and I want to each of you, if you could just give me 1 point on it, but I want to talk about implementation. So if there's a leader in this room who wants to move forward right now, what is one thing they should focus on next to implement AI more successfully into their organization? So Laura, let's start with you. If you could just stick to one or two sentences.
I'd say prepare yourself first. Dig in, get an AI coach, use AI to be your coach, and then prepare your people for the adoption with change management and all that. And call Andrea about all the financial stuff. She
Yeah.
needs to get to all the brilliance she's got.
So much. Andrea, how about you? Give us a little brilliant.
I would say meet with your leadership team and talk about what the benefits are and start to understand where all your manual processes are or what system, just putting together lists of your tech stack and what talks to each other and what doesn't. Like I said, I think this is a time to take a step back instead of just moving forward. And none of us know how to do this alone. So engaging your leadership team to help you across the board in all of the departments. Everybody's going to have a different say, but you want to make sure that you're implementing something that everyone's going to use and put on, take in and take control of and take accountability for and enjoy using.
And Cal, how about you?
The perfect triad. So I'll skip those because those are brilliant. But focus on using AI to improve your actual human-to-human conversations, not just to become more efficient. If we have better conversations, by definition, we will be more efficient because we can cut to the point, we can learn the real problem, and not just pretend that we did in some activity. It's about having that conversation, that interaction.
Yep. All right. So I'm going to launch our last poll, well, our second to last poll, which is about which best describes your organization today as it relates to AI. And as we're doing that, I see we have a question. So I'm going to go ahead and do that while everyone's filling it out. But have you seen leaders give employees a clear and honest assessment of how they expect AI to affect their business? Ooh. Laura, yes.
I would say, if I could answer, I would say we have discussions about it all the time because not only in our firm, but the AICPA has put together a council for it. The NJCPA has put together a council for it. One of the largest, um, I'm going to call it challenges that we're seeing in the accounting industry right now is AI technology is essentially doing all of the first year and second year work, right? So when you come out of school, when you come out of college, you're a first year accountant or second year accountant, and you were typically inputting. That's all you ever did is input, input, input. And now there is no more inputting. But inputting is how you learned credits and debits on softwares and how to do different things. So there are committees now, and we talk about it often in our Futures Council is how do we get kids from college to third years? How do we bridge that gap? We don't have an answer yet. We'll let you know.
That and lawyers, it's the same problem across. It's a problem in my industry too. Like we don't need as many marketing assistants anymore. So, but that's how you learn and grow. So
that's how you learn and grow, right? Exactly. So how do we get them from college to work without that intermediary first
My
2
theory
years?
is it's going to be on, can they use AI well? Like there's going to be fewer people needed, but they have to be able to use the tools effectively. And just like, my kids are growing up in a technology world that I didn't grow up in and are so much better at it. I think these next generation is going to be even more. So we shall see. So I'm going to share the results from the last poll, and then I've got one more poll for all of you. So it looks like some are scaling across teams. Some are fully integrated, 5%. So good, congratulations. That's fantastic. And the rest of us are still on our way. Yeah. All right. And then let me stop sharing this. And I have one last poll question for everybody. But if you want more information from any of these experts here, or you want to ask questions, oh gosh, maybe I don't have that poll. Oh yeah. Let us know if you want to have a conversation with anybody who is on this meeting, and they will reach out to you or set up a meeting to find more information. So with that, I think oh my gosh, we were
we have the wrong names up there.
I think it's the wrong names.
Oh, then sorry, I messed it up. It's not, I don't have
it
the right
happens.
question in here.
It's a love-hate relationship with technology.
See, this is why you read things first, guys. Whoops.
Bring in the kids.
So
Rachel's gonna quickly
I don't have the right poll in here, but if you want to put it in the chat on who you'd like to chat with or a conversation, we can download the chat after this meeting, and then the team will reach out to anybody who's interested in having additional questions answered, or because I know we didn't get to everything today. But with that, we are just 3 minutes from time. And yes, the video will be available after this. We're going to send out the video recording of this event, and we will also, it'll be on demand as well. So thank you so much to our speakers. All of you are wonderful. I'm going to give a special thank you to Andrea for being here the day before tax day. But all of your time is valuable.
Yes.
And again, if you have any questions for our speakers, there will be their contact information in the follow-up email after this event. Do not forget to register for next month's event, and we will see you all then. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.